Hi everyone. I have some stuff that's I've been downloading it throughout the day, but throughout this whole experience, this whole, shift, this paradigm shift that we're going through, I've been having really intense, enlightening, beautiful, and mystifying and exhilarating dream time experiences. And I cannot stress enough the importance of understanding your dreamscapes, your dream time, really connecting with this astral realm and learning how to navigate it. And because I've just had a whole multitude of things that I may go into in other videos, but like for instance, I've had dreams where I feel like I've been plugged in to brought in like a collective, a specific consciousness, like keepers, like the whole keepers of the flame, like the hermetic, like network, so to speak, where I feel like I've suddenly been pushing out as transmitting as well as receiving information in the dream space consciously. Like I will wake up, I will jolt up and be like, oh, whoa, okay. And so I charge you all with, really being able to practice and experience and engage with your dreams. They hold a lot of truth, they hold a lot of healing that you may not be able to consciously access in your awakened state. And so one thing that I wanted to talk about, which has been a huge theme in part of like my experience throughout this isolating, sheltering in place process, is understanding relationships via dreamtime explorations. I'm sorry, I have some notes so I don't ramble too much or go too much off book with what I'd like to share with you all. Because I've realized that, and I've been doing this for months now, where I am timeline jumping in my dreams, and there are people that are familiar, but the circumstances are foreign to me in this reality, in this space, in this form that I take now, but there's a familiarity there. There's something that translates back to my current relationship with those people. And it's funny because a lot of them have to do with more intimate or close relationships that have had a lot of emotional value or weight attached to them. And just kind of going off book for a minute, there was one in particular that stuck out to me, and it filled me with sadness. It filled me with sadness, and I'll go into some of the emotional signatures and what I feel like those represent when you have these dreams. But this person, I experienced many things with them in this dream, and we were kind of crime fighters in a way. We were on some type of mission where we were holding some type of frequency and seeking some type of truth, and it was in a parallel reality. And so there was some familiarity there as outside of just being with this person. And there was one point where we were sitting in this very liminal space, and we were seated at this wooden table, and they were just like, you can always come back to this table and you can travel wherever you wish. And with that, you will be able to stitch, to repair, to heal things. And it was very vague, but I just have this table in my head now. And this is a space that I now willingly go to, where I'm able to just kind of lay it all out, so to speak, and really be able to recognize the own trappings and influences that the entanglements that I still am engaging with, and be able to slowly clear the table, to wipe the slate clean, so to speak. And so in our dream space, when we're engaging in these relationships with people that may not even be a part of our life anymore, they may be people that were toxic, or perhaps that just like conditions have separated us in this lifetime, in this space, in this progression. And these things are coming up because there's more information there. It may not be something that existed within this lifetime, but there's something still there, and you have to see it from a different lens, see it from a different perspective. And so it's a process of interacting with your various timelines and parallel pathways, lifetimes, timelines with minimal time-space distortions. So it's another level of integration and release for us to merge with new systems and structures. In other words, 5D, right? Because the dream space, the dream time, is this in-between astral 4D space. And it's a graceful way of kind of bypassing our awakened state, limited consciousness, where our ego can kind of like step in and be like, hold up, let's not, and that fear can set in. Instead, we're in a place where we're submerged in subconscious thought, in this time-space stream, in this stream of consciousness, in this unified field within our dream space, within this dream time. And this work allows you to become congruent with all of your possible pathways and timelines, so you can eventually merge with source and all levels of your being, heightening your sensitivity to the now. So by having these interactions, you're becoming more awake in your conscious day-to-day, state, in this reality that you're anchored in right now, this pathway that you're locked into currently. It allows you to bypass any resistance and therefore accelerate your remembering, accelerate your being into a more vibrational state of alignment, for you to have certain resources here in the present moment, because there are these things that are being these signals kind of lighting up when you are most receptive. So this will improve your decision-making skills and ability to intuit. Get it? Into it. Being fully absorbed in the present moment. Being fully aligned and in a state of being, in a state of flow. You'll be free from the trappings of the outside world, because you'll be more refined and aligned within. More Christ-aligned, or crystalline, so to speak. You can have intense and loving relationships with others that lean toward being more whole or more toxic based off of what your experiences are in this lifetime, on this pathway. And it all depends on whether or not that relationship, that partnership, is aligned to transpire and deliver you toward wholeness, toward your resourcefulness within this specific journey, pathway, timeline, or progression, whichever word you would like to use, but lifetime. So in one perspective, and I'm sure some of you might get a little riled up with this. So in one perspective, it makes it possible to have more than one twin flame, as it expands your awareness and integration across multiple pathways, progressions, and timelines. And you may have several people that consistently reemerge into your awareness. You remember them. They just pop up out of nowhere. Something about, a scent or something reminds you of them. And so heralds in that memory. And so, and with memories come emotional signatures, and so you may begin to recognize their absence and begin to miss them. You may be tapping into that other timeline or progression consciousness and have this soft spot for them, because you're tapping into that signature that isn't necessarily part of this pathway. And so this may encourage you to reach out to them, but instead take pause. Feel into your momentum. So feeling into your gut, momentum, see what I did there? Your gut, and play out that scenario. Could it be that you are simply experiencing something with them on another timeline? And so consider that every partnership, every friendship, every relationship that doesn't work out may have worked out on another timeline. That doesn't mean you aren't somehow connected with this person currently. You may simply not be resonating with them or in alignment with them in this sequence, in this lifetime, but feeling a ripple from another point or sequence that is played out in a parallel space. So what you're sensing now may not equip you with the integration necessary for you to carry out your current self's contribution, your current cell. And cell meaning sphere of influence, sphere of circumstances, sphere of possibilities anchored within this finite reality or finite space, this container, so to speak. And so the people that we chase in the path we're currently plugged into that perhaps we're not aligned with or not resonating with, this parallel twin flame, so to speak, if you even want to use that terminology. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah. So the people we chase in this path that we're currently plugged into can become distractions. If we allow the distortion or ripple that resonates from that other timeline or path to sway us from our center in this one. It's an unconscious awareness of what could be happening right now, but isn't necessarily here. You're operating outside of the present moment, which means you're displaced. So instead, you could be operating, feeling something that could be rippling from this experience that's happening on this parallel pathway, that's happening on this parallel timeline or path. And it could be affecting you, it could sway you from your center just a little bit. And so you may be prompted to reach out, like I said, but pause in that moment. Is that part of your track, or is that your distraction? So just think about it. And because it could set you down a path that's not chosen for yourself and chasing after like a dangling carrot, so to speak. So it could lead you down into dead ends and distract you from what you actually are here in this path to contribute toward, because we're all kind of working on different levels but all toward the same goal, if that makes sense. And the thing is that when we're swayed, or when we're plugged in, or when we're allowing ourselves to be prompted from these parallel timelines, from these ripples, from these pushes, from these urges that emerge from these other selves, these other parallel selves, understand that you don't know where this is coming from. Acknowledge that. It's like, if that feeling is coming out of nowhere, you may not be fully grounded in your reality. There may be some emotional signature that requires integration and awareness from you right now that perhaps didn't become fully manifest in this lifetime because that relationship or partnership never quite panned out in the exact same way that it did on that other timeline. And so you have like this distorted energy signature, and that you can only fully access and integrate in your dream time, in your dream space. And so having that awareness and being able to be more lucid in your dream time space allows you to properly integrate and build awareness surrounding these types of relationships, partnerships that exist outside of this pathway, this lifetime. And so in a sense, it allows you to become a little bit more expanded, and it allows you to understand different forms of entanglement and different forms of attachment, the ways that in which we become chained to others, and what that actually means for us on our journey, on our pathway. And so if we're receiving these signals, these transmissions, these ripples from other timelines, we're not sure where it's coming from, or understanding it, not being able to pinpoint it. It's like if you don't know the coordinates for what you desire, or where you want to go, or a trajectory. So it's like asking questions like who, what, when, and they're usually questions that are based in lack, or based in this otherness. So not being whole, not being valuable, not already containing everything that you need or desire or are asking for. And so maybe it's not yet time for you to go there. Maybe it's not a good idea for you to reach out and re-engage in that pattern, in that cycle, because something has yet to shift into your conscious awareness from your unconscious, or from your subconscious, I should say, and integrate or alchemize itself into wisdom. And so what we're doing when we're working in this dream space is that we're basically time traveling. We're going to different places, and we're exploring different aspects of the self, as well as the illusion that exists around us. It's just taking a different shape, taking a different form, being written into another type of story. And so having that awareness of that, it may not be you necessarily missing that person, but it's you being able to see that timeless, ever-present version of yourself, and being able to see how that is then playing out in this lifetime, and understand whether or not that is something that you've evolved from and now you just have that full-on conscious understanding of it that's been uploaded, or if it is something that will actually assist you in integrating some of the stuff that's about to come your way. So just some stuff to consider regarding that. And if you're someone who is interested in doing more dream work and becoming more aware and lucid in your dream space, I highly recommend working with Nina of Crystal Sun Healing. She has a beautiful class called Dream Magicians. Part of it is it's mainly a Facebook group, and we all work independently. We just check in through the group, making sure that we're journaling our dreams and doing different exercises and practices to really build up and strengthen our astral body. And it is such a valuable practice because, again, it's building up your discernment and your ability to intuit, to be more intuitive, and to be able to feel out the different possibilities that are happening within you, while simultaneously being presented around you. So yeah, and just do your best to really try to stay off your screens at night, and to do things that really encourage vibrant, peaceful sleep, and you know, a very stable and accessible dream state. All right, I guess I feel like that was a lot, but yeah, it's interesting, like, because I mean, you know, you may have these different friendships and partnerships and relationships, and, you know, you have a sense of knowing someone far beyond just being in this lifetime and in this form, in this presence. And for instance, I had a series of dreams last night, which prompted me to do this video. I had a series of dreams last night with people that I recognized from this lifetime, but I don't necessarily have that type of active relationship with them. And so it's really interesting and intriguing to see how it played out, because for instance, there's one person that I had a connection with, who I had a dream about, but we hadn't talked for a long time, but now we talked, and now we have an understanding of each other, you know. And in that dream space, there was an interesting separation that had to take place, and, you know, a promise of, hey, I'm gonna come back, and you will remember me by this, because I will call you this. And so it was funny because it somehow related into this lifetime, and I was like, okay, that was fulfilled, and forgiveness was offered, you know, lessons were learned, and unification had taken place to a certain degree, because there was an integration and understanding when we had met in this lifetime, on a soul level, of what contracts we had in place, if that makes sense. And so after emerging from that dream space, I'm like, that's cool. Like, now I get that. Now I get that, because at that time in this lifetime, I'd almost felt, while still having that familiarity, felt that I was operating outside of myself in a weird way, while still being myself, if that makes sense, if that's hitting with you. And so there may be, you know, those types of situations that arise in your lifetime. It's like, yes, I made that choice, you know, I went down that path, but it wasn't necessarily something that I would have chosen. Not that I acted out of integrity by any means, but there's some underlying driving force that I couldn't pinpoint. And so it was just that cycle playing out in this lifetime, where it seemed like it was the first time. It may not be like a past life that's linked to this pathway, but it's a past life or current life for another pathway, a parallel self that had been playing out. And me having that realization must have meant that that was the end of that cycle that had happened, and there was that extreme emotional, vibrational, energetic signature that ended up spreading out and pinging me in my dream space, you know, to remember, to recall that. And so, yeah, just something to be aware of, something to consider. If you liked what you've heard, please please donate. I have a page on my website, and I'll post a link below. I also am inviting you all. I'm hosting a open virtual healing circle this Wednesday the 15th called Resource Points, where we will all be kind of facilitating and receiving healing. So I have some interesting stuff in store for that session. Really excited to see where it goes. And then this Sunday, April 19th, I'll be working in conjunction with Modern Mystic to present you all with another Sunday school talk, from finite to infinite being. So we'll be getting a little more in depth into all of this big talk during that time. It'll be held virtually on Zoom. So, grab a cup of coffee, grab a notebook, make sure your heart mind is open and willing to receive. So yeah, okay, cool. Well, I'm here if any of you are seeking some support or would like to get some coaching time in with me. If you're having some experiences you need assistance navigating or looking at from a higher perspective, I'll be sure to do more videos like this in the future, maybe even do some lives. We'll see. But anyways, bye y'all.